welcome to Microbiology Lab. Today I'm going to teach you how to aseptically transfer culture from one vessel into another. Before we get started, let's make sure that you have your personal protective equipment on. The first thing is you need to have a lab coat that buttons up the front, and that should be long sleeve covering your skin. You should be wearing long pants and closed-toed shoes. In the era of COVID, we also need to be wearing our mask over the nose and the mouth. In addition, if you have long hair like I do, your long hair should be pulled back out of your way. This is common practice in a microbiology lab to make sure your hair doesn't fall in the culture or catch on fire. It's also good COVID prevention because you're not likely to be touching your hair and pushing it back out of your way. It just keeps your hands away from your face. The first aseptic technique that we'll do is transferring bacteria from a broth culture into fresh broth. Let me show you what the cultures look like. Here's a rack with the tube. Here's the culture that's already growing. So this is liquid media, and it has hundreds, probably thousands of bacteria in here. You can hold it up to light and you'll see it looks a little bit cloudy. And this is the fresh media that we're transferring into. And it might be a number of different colors depending on what type of media you're using. In order to make this transfer happen, we're going to need a few tools. The first is the Bunsen burner that we will light with a striker. We'll also need an inoculating loop. Let me show you what the loop looks like. There you go. You can see the loop on the end. That will pick up a nice big drop of media or broth that will have bacteria in it so that we can transfer from this tube into this tube. And you'll need something to label your tube with. I'm going to use a Sharpie today. And the label depends on what you want it to say. In this case, I'm going to label it with my initials so I know that this is my culture. So I just wrote it directly on the side of the tube below the level of the cap so that it can be clearly read. Alright, so let's go ahead and light the Bunsen burner. You're going to need to turn on the gas supply. Let me show you where the gas supply knob is. It is right here. When the gas knob is perpendicular to the hose that's coming out of it, the gas is off. When the gas knob is turned so that it's in line with the hose, the gas is on. And you'll hear a hissing noise that indicates that gas is coming out. So you don't want to turn this knob on until you're ready to light the Bunsen burner. Alright, so here's our Bunsen burner, and let me show you how the striker works. The striker has, inside of it, this piece here has a little striker that will make a spark when it gets rubbed against the rough surface of the inside of the striker. And so, let me see if I can show that. Yep, so you see that spark? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the gas on and I'm going to light the Bunsen burner. Before I do, I'm going to screw this down so there's a little bit less air coming out, and then once the flame is lit, we'll adjust it. So the gas is on, and I lit the Bunsen burner. So did you see how it's just a squeeze? You're just squeezing there to make that spark. Once the gas is lit, you want to adjust it so that you can get a really nice blue cone inside of a cone, and it actually is kind of perfect right now, so I don't need to adjust it much. But you can play with the amount of air that you're letting in, like this. You can also adjust how much gas is coming in from here, so now I'm turning up the gas, you see it's getting bigger. But we don't need it to be really big, we just need it to be really hot. So I don't know if you can see this, maybe you can see better if I hold my hands in front. You see how there's a blue cone of flame, and inside that there's an inner cone that inner cone is really nice and hot. And that's what we're going to use to sterilize the inoculating loop for our transfer. So let me show you how it works. You're going to hold your inoculating loop sort of like you would hold a pencil. And it's good to hold it back a ways because this is going to dip down into the tube, and if you're holding it way up here, you might not have enough length. So find a good place back here on the handle, and you're going to stick that into the fire, and you'll see that the whole inoculating loop, the wire on the end of it, is starting to turn red hot. And you want to move it through that inner cone of blue flame until the whole thing has been red hot. And that's how you know that it's ready. And now you pick up the tube that you're going to bring the bacteria from. You might need to flick the tube to mix it a little bit. I'm actually going to sterilize again because I was just talking. So you usually want to finish this up there. It's nice and red hot again. And then when you open this tube, you can use the 2 fingers of the same hand that's holding the inoculating loop to pull the lid off, and keep that lid in your hand. Then you're going to pass the lip of the tube through the flame and place your inoculating loop into the tube. But you're not putting it into the liquid yet. You want to wait here for 30 seconds to let that loop cool off. If you don't wait and you go directly into the culture, then you'll hear a sizzling sound, and that means that your loop is too hot and you are killing bacteria in there. So we don't want to kill our bacteria, so we're just going to keep it in here for 30 seconds while we wait for it to cool down. Also notice that I'm holding the tube at an angle, and this is helping to prevent any spores of fungus or other microbes that are in the air from falling into the tube. It just gives less surface that's exposed that could become contaminated. And so now it's been cooling for a while. I'm going to go ahead and put my loop down, and I just picked up a loop of culture. I'm going to flame the culture tube again and replace the cap. And now I can pick up the other culture tube, the one that I'm going to transfer into, flame, and inoculate. And that's it. Flame again, and the lid. And now that I'm done, I still have bacteria on here, and so I'm going to flame sterilize one more time to make sure that all of those bacteria are killed so that I don't spread them to any other surfaces in the lab. And then once you're done, you can turn off your flame. And it's really important, if you need to step away from the bench for any reason, that you turn your flame off. You can always relight it when you come back. Now that your tube is inoculated, we'd then go put this in the appropriate incubator, let it grow, and we're good to go. So now I'm just going to repeat the whole thing one more time so you can watch it again. First, I'm turning on the gas knob, light the flame, adjust the flame, sterilize the loop. Make sure it gets nice and red hot. Pick up the culture tube with bacteria. Might need a little flick. Pass it through the lip of the flame and wait. Waiting that 30 seconds so you don't fry your bacteria. Holding the tube at an angle. And it's okay to touch the edge of the tube. You can just kind of rest there on the side of the tube while you're waiting for it to cool down. Okay, there we go. Go and get some bacteria. Flame again. Pick up the new tube. Flame. In. Flame. close, and down. And then we'll flame the loop again to finish. So it's really important that you plan out and you practice your movements so that you can minimize the amount of time that those tubes are open and prevent contamination, growing other microbes in those tubes than the ones that you intended.